Greetings, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Down to Earth Mystery School. I'm Bevin Niemann-Cortez, and I'm your host for this channel. And I bet that you came here because you've been going through this shit. Am I right? Right? You're like, why are all of these things happening to me? Why is one thing happening, then another thing, then another thing, then another thing? I can't take any more.
Oh my gosh!
So this is the right place for you to be. The universe aligned us so that you could see this video. And today we're going to talk about the dark night of the soul, and specifically the phase of the dark night of the soul where you're coming out of it. So you may think, if you've been in this muck, and this is my definition of the dark night of the soul, which is a series of really difficult life circumstances, whether you had a health issue and then you couldn't work and you lost your job, and then you lost your romantic partner, and then this happened and that happened, and boom, 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 boom. It's just like a series of dominoes. And you're left feeling, did I do something wrong? Am I being punished for present life karma, past life karma? What's going on here? Why am I going through this? And I've been through a number of dark nights of the soul. So often, we think about midlife crisis, for example, but that is only one instance of a dark night of the soul. There can be many dark nights of the soul, like miniature, where, you have a readjustment. And that's really what a dark night of the soul is that sometimes we get so involved with life. We get so involved with our day-to-day happenings and our strivings and our ambition and all these things that we forget to slow down, that we forget to go inside and be internally contemplative, right? And it's just a reorganization. And it feels really icky in the middle. It feels really scary. Sometimes we feel really alone. Sometimes we feel like we can't take anymore. I've been at that place. I've been at the rock bottom of that place, thinking, this is it. My life is done. I don't want to be on this planet anymore. So if you are here and you're starting to feel like maybe there's a small light at the end of the tunnel, I'm here to tell you that yes, there is. And we're going to use some decks to actually share with you about the process of emerging. You've heard the metaphor that a caterpillar will build a cocoon, and then it will dissolve into complete mush right inside, and it reorganizes itself, and it becomes this beautiful moth or butterfly, whatever emerges. And of course, then when the cocoon, we need to break out ourselves, we need to chip away at it until we can unfold and come back into our power. And when you're in the middle of a dark night of the soul, you do feel powerless, or like you have less power, less agency. You feel like somehow there's a conspiracy against you and everything's happening and you can't do a lot about it. But I want to affirm that we always have free will. And one of those parts of free will is when you realize, oh yeah, I'm going through a dark night of the soul now. There is a point of surrender. I'm not saying surrender your sovereignty. I'm not saying surrender and just like allow whatever to happen. But at some point, we have to really just acknowledge that this is going to happen to me. And right now, there may not be a lot that I can do to prevent that from happening. However, within that dark night of the soul, within the dark cocoon, within the going within, there are many gifts, and you are going to discover them if you're open to asking, not why is this happening to me, which is a normal thing to ask, and I've asked it many times at the universe, and also asking, what am I here to learn in this moment? What am I gaining from this? What experiences? What really, actually, when I look at it, needed to be adjusted about my life? Because sometimes we cling on to things because they're familiar and they feel safe, and we understand them, whether that's a relationship or a job or hobby or whatever it may be, a place to live. We cling on to it. because we don't know what's coming. And the unknown is the hardest part, right? Maybe you're starting to see that little light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe you're starting to feel like a little bit better, a little more optimistic. Maybe some information is starting to come in again, because often when we're in a dark night of the soul, we kind of block any of our divine downloads that we can just naturally receive. And everyone can receive them. Doesn't matter whether you're, you don't have to be a card reader or anything else to receive. You can just open yourself to receive. But oftentimes we feel pretty blocked when we're in this space, and when bad things are happening, when negative things are happening, when things are falling apart, we tend to kind of shut down our intuitive self. So this is an opportunity, an invitation for you to reopen that, even just a crack, just a little crack, and say, okay, I'm ready to receive. I'm ready to kind of surrender into this reorganization of my life. And I'm curious to see what's coming next. So we're going to use 3 decks today. We are going to use the Witch's Tarot, which is one of my faves. It's by Ellen Dugan, right? I love this deck. We are going to ask the Shaman's Dream to give us some clarity. This is by Alberto Viodo and Colette Baron-Reed. So very, very well done, this deck. And then this is my go-to. When you're having a dark night of the soul, this is the go-to for me, the Isis Oracle. Isis always tells us the truth, right? It may be truth we don't want to hear, but sometimes she's also kind and gentle. And so we're going to dive in now, and we're going to ask for some clarity for you as you're beginning to come out of this, as you're beginning to look a little bit in hindsight and see these things that have happened to you, see how things are being reshuffled and reorganized in your life. And you're like, okay, well, here's some possibilities. We're starting to get into that hopefulness again. So let's ask the Witch's Tarot for a message about this. Okay, we have several here. All right, wonderful. We have the Two of Wands, right? The Two of Wands. So you see that this person is looking off into the horizon. They have 2 of their wands. They have a decision point to make. I can stay in the old life, or I can move towards something new. You say they have a little cat companion here who's also looking out into the future. So this is about being future focused, right? So when we're in a dark night of the soul and everything's falling apart, then what we tend to do is get into this place where we're trying to cling on, and where we're so upset about what we're losing in the past, what we don't have anymore, as opposed to really starting to look at the future. And it's really wide open. It looks like there's going to be a long journey, right? So reconnecting to self, finding your new identity. It takes some time. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to make a lot of choices along the way, choices about what to retain in your life, what's working well, and choices about what to release. And you're going to go on this long journey, and there's many possibilities there. You can see the world is floating right next to one of his wands. So the world is literally your oyster, but it's hard to see that until we start to feel a little bit of sense of optimism. That's what's going on here with this character in the card. They're like, hey, they're sitting behind this fence. You can see like the little fence right here that the cat is sitting on. I've been behind this fence for a long time, but out here is a wide open vista. There's a waterway. I can take this. And this is our emotional waterway, right? This is how we feel about taking this new journey. And it feels daunting a little bit. We're still standing behind the wall. We're like, I see it. I know that there's something different coming for me, but I'm a little nervous to take that step. But then you enter in to the Knight of Swords. This is the fastest moving knight in the Tarot deck. And this is not only mental clarity, starting to really take action. And you only have to take action on like one thing. Okay, we don't have to fix everything. So if a lot of things have fallen apart in your life, you don't have to fix everything. What I would do is look at what is the most important thing that you need to focus on mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and move towards that and make that right and get that aligned. So this person still has a lot of armor on, right? So they're going out into the world. Here we are like behind the wall. Now we're going out into the world, but we still have some armor on because damn, we just got hurt. We got hurt really bad. Our heart is hurting. It's aching a little bit. And we want things to be better. So we're a little bit guarded. but we are taking action on the one thing that can really start to shift things for you. And you're going to know what that is. Maybe it's having a crucial conversation. Maybe it's asking your boss for more money. Maybe it is deciding that you're going to go back to school. Maybe it is, moving to a new place. And so it's just picking that one thing, because if you're trying to pick up your whole life and sort of reorganize it at one time, it's going to be overwhelming. But what's coming is the Six of Cups. So you see these two children here just playing in a garden. They have cups that are filled with flowers. The water is overflowing from the well. So, here we've come, and you can see the waterway back here. Here we've come along this long journey. And at first we were like in this grown-up state, looking very responsible. And then we were kind of in a defensive state. And now we start to release all of that and go, what if I could play with what's coming next? What if I could just play in my life? I could have fun. I could connect with others. I could really dive into my inner child and bring that forward into this new experience. And I could be curious about what's going to happen. And I could, receive the love and the abundance and support, because I know you have people in your life who do not want to see you going through this. They've watched you go through this. And there is someone in your life who's going to be like, hey, let's have some fun. Let's loosen up a little bit. Let's go out and do something. Let's go into nature. Let's go on a camping trip, whatever that may be for you. There is someone who's coming in for that. And then you have this lovely card, which is the Emperor, right? And so this, you see the waterway in the back, you see these children have kind of grown up a little bit now. So we've learned, we've evolved, we've stepped into this new life. And we're now sitting on our throne. So we still do, we have a staff, but it's a staff of wisdom. It's not a sword to cut and slash. And we have armor on, but not on our head, right? So, and we're not like rushing at anyone. We're like relaxing back into this new identity, discovering who we are, sitting on our throne, reclaiming our personal power. So we go from sitting behind the wall, everything's falling apart, but we have the world here. We have that ability to choose a new reality for ourselves, to really grow ourselves. And then, we get on and we begin charging forward. And we're like, I'm just going to focus on one thing. And one of those things is mindset. One of those things is understanding how our thoughts create things and how our thoughts either enhance our experience or detract from that. And for a long time, I was very resistant to this idea of thoughts create things. I thought, well, that's just silly. It doesn't really happen. I can think negative thoughts if I want to. It was kind of a rebellion thing, right? And then I realized, wow, my life is so different when I get up every morning and I find one positive thing to be looking for. I say, Bevin, here's what I'm grateful for. I tap in. And this is how we start to pull ourselves towards that light in the tunnel, right? This beautiful light coming down here. That's what you're moving towards, right? And then you're learning how to play with this instead of being so serious about it. Because when everything's falling apart, it feels really serious, and it probably is really serious. It could be a falling apart of all of your finances. It could be, a loss of a loved one. It could be a lot of things. But even given all that you've been through, there is a way to find joy and peace and play and curiosity and fun again. You need to have fun. When you're going through the dark night of the soul, the last thing you want is to be fun. You don't feel like you want to have fun. You don't feel excited about that, but we need that. We need it. And then we begin to claim our personal power again. Right. So this is the transition. This is the arc of transformation that you are going through, and you will see yourself at any part of this. There's different stages. And sometimes we get to a certain stage and we've moved forward, and then we kind of pull back behind the wall again. And that's natural and normal. But over time, we get more confidence and we move forward and we find our sense of joy and excitement and passion again. And then we sit on our throne and we regain our personal power. So let's see what the shaman's dream has to say for us about the emergence from the dark night of the soul. What is it that you need to hear today? that's really going to help you on this path. Just one card. Thank you, Spirit. All right. This one felt like this. Yeah. So here we are. First breath, beginner's mind. Right? So when you first began doing something, whether you were a child and you were just learning how to talk and how to walk, how to feed ourselves, all those things that we have to learn, or whether you are, a young person, maybe going off to college or pursuing some kind of training for your career, you have to have beginner's mind. You're like, I don't know what I don't even know. I just need to be open, right? And then you change careers, or you get divorced, and then maybe you date, you take some time off and you heal, and then maybe you start dating again. And you're like, okay, I have to approach this from a new way because I'm a different person now. This is different circumstances. I can't use the same habits and mentalities and everything that I've been used to using. I need to open myself. And the 2 and the 1 break down to a 3, which is the sign of gentle change, right? We've talked about this throughout the reading, which is that, we don't want to try to tackle everything, but we want to be open. We want to be open about the people we could meet, the opportunities that could present themselves, and the things that we didn't even know that we might really love. So this is really great. And I want to then go to Isis now. Thank you, Shaman's Dream, for that beautiful confirmation that this is a new beginning and we're coming out of this dark night. We're starting to see the light. We're starting to feel good again. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so 2 cards came. Thank you, Isis. All right. Yeah, so we have the rising sun, right? The divine solar child reborn. So when we're going through a dark night of the soul, our masculine energy, or a dynamic energy, our outpouring energy, where we reach out to people and we communicate and we do tasks and we create things and we make things happen. This is a rebirth of that, because when you're going through it, the last thing you want to do is initiate something new. You're like, no, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing right now. Everything is falling apart in my life. But at some point, when you get to this beginner's mind, then you start to rebirth that masculine within yourself. And in my case, when I went through a dark night of the soul, I had a health issue that caused a complete mental, physical, spiritual, financial breakdown in my life. It took a while for me to heal from that and to understand the gifts that were inherent in that experience, that I had stayed too long in a place where it wasn't supportive of me. And so the universe rearranged things in my life. And, but eventually you start to have this rebirth, right? And there's a nurturing of that masculine. Instead of being out there and having to be dominant and having to work all the hours that I did and be a workaholic, I started to slow down. I started to realize that I can still do and be productive and be contributing to society and contributing to the evolution of consciousness without pushing, without striving, without hustling, right? So whatever that transformation is for you in your life, there is something about this masculine energy, this dynamic energy, your ability to be in the world, that is being reborn here. And as long as you're keeping that beginner's mind, it's going to be really great. And then there's the Queen of Heaven. So you have the feminine, the magnetic, the intuitive, the emotional coming in here. This is the Queen of Heaven. It's a blessing from the Empress of the Skies. And so this is our last card, is really great message for all of you that are listening today, because we cannot often see the blessing in these reorganizations that happen excuse me, during the dark night of the soul. We cannot always see while we're in it why this is so important for our lives. But in my case, being let go of a job, going through this health crisis, all of that allowed me to take care of my grandmother, who is, reaching the end of her life, and she needed that extra care. It gave me time to do that. And she and I were able to develop a deep relationship before she passed on. And then it also gave me time to work on this spiritual side of myself, really get centered, really get grounded, and really understand what it was that I was bringing to the world. It was the foundations of the Down to Earth Mystery School that you're watching right now. So we can't always see these blessings, but there are blessings. Perhaps, like in one case, I had a mini dark night of the soul when I decided that the relationship I was in was not working, that it was going to be codependent, and I was going back into an old cycle. And I said, no, I'm sorry, I can't do this. And there was real hardship in that breakup. But later I was able to see, wow, not being with that person then allowed me to heal myself. I actually married myself at one point, and then to meet who is my current husband now. So we don't always know why these things are falling apart. We don't always understand. But I want to say, and I think it's really important, that I believe personally, and you get to choose whatever belief works for you. You are not being punished. You are not being punished. Okay. So a lot of us grew up with very suppressive, maybe religious ideals about what God is. And, we're supposed to be submissive to another entity. And we're supposed to, accept that we're going to receive punishment if we don't do the right things. And there was a lot of that religious, dominant, kind of really traumatizing ideas that many of us grew up with, and many of us took a while to disentangle ourselves with. And you may be in that process, and that may be a part of your dark night of the soul as well, since it's coming through. But we can't really see until later what a blessing it was to leave a particular religion that wasn't working, to move to another place, even though you loved the home and the community where you were. Something else unfolds. You meet a person and you develop a business partnership, and then you do this wonderful thing, or you go to a networking event just randomly because you're starting to feel a little bit better. Your masculine is being reborn. You want to be out there in the world again with people, doing things, being productive in society. And then, that turns out to be a wonderful experience, and you have different opportunities that unfold. So I just want you to keep in mind that you didn't do anything wrong if everything's falling apart. Okay. I just want you to sit with that for a minute. I want you to feel it in your throat, because I'm feeling a lot of constriction right here. And the throat is not only what we speak out into the world, but it's also how we speak to ourselves. It also points inward. So you did not do anything wrong. And this was a necessary rearranging of your life so that you can express your full potential, because everything in this world, the reason we came here to have, human bodies and have play these characters and be in this experience is because we're meant to learn and evolve and grow and not just stay stagnant, right? And we can choose one path or the other. We have two wands. I can do this one. I can do this one. I can stay here, or I can go here. This is going to grow me a lot more. Here's the world. But this is what I already know. It already has a lot of flowers. It's pretty abundant. I'm good. And it's okay. You can choose either path, because you're going to be invited into this choice point over and over and over and over in your life. Do I stay in this relationship? Do I go? Do I stay with this career? Do I go? Do I stay in this home, or do I move somewhere else? We always have this choice point. And nothing that you do, whatever choice you make, you are going to learn and grow. Other opportunities, other choice points will open for you, depending. So it's like playing a game, right? Like you're unlocking one door because you found the key, and now there's this whole new world, this whole new vista opening up to you. And now you can jump over the box and open up the treasure and get another key. And then there's like multiple doors, and you're like, well, okay, here I am again, making a choice. And no choice that you make is wrong. I mean, obviously within reason, not hurting other humans, but whatever choice you make for you that doesn't hurt other people is never wrong, because you're always going to learn. This is where you get to have beginner's mind. This is where you start to look back and reflect upon the blessings that you've learned and the new things that are coming into your world. And you're opening yourself back up, and you're being out in the world again, and you're being dynamic. And it was okay for you to be a hermit. and for it to kind of fade back out of society, and to take some time for yourself, and to sleep, and to reflect, and to journal, and to meditate, and go on retreats, and do whatever healing work that you need to do to move through this big life transition. Because whatever comes on the other side of the dark night of the soul is very aligned with your passion and your purpose. And you just need to give yourself the ability to accept that, to receive that. And that's where the Queen of Heaven comes in. You're supposed to accept these blessings. Her arms are wide open. She's like, yes, I receive, right? Completely open in her energy. And this is the harvest. This is the harvest. We go through the difficult things to get to the better. And, you know, as time goes on, I think we go through less and less of the difficult things because we start to understand our patterns. We have to start to understand our habitual thinking, the ways that we've engaged before in different circumstances. And we get better at this. Dark nights of the soul would get smaller and smaller. Maybe there's just like a small blip and then you go on. And the further you go into the spiritual path and the more maturity, the more wisdom that you gain and how you apply that wisdom, how you receive those divine downloads and then translate it out into inspired action. Things get better and better and better for you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing and liking. I'd love to see you around the Down to Earth Mystery School. This is a place where we are open and basically tearing down the gatekeeping of what Mystery School used to be. We believe that everyone has the right to the spiritual knowledge, and that's why we founded it. So thank you so much, my friends. Be well. Please comment and let us know. How's it going for you? What stage are you at? What decisions are you making? And how are you finding the blessings within this dark night of the soul?